Tobacco Road Sports Radio is so excited to be your home for Triad Sports.
I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
We heard you loud and clear. Our mission is to give you what you want.
You know what I want. I've been asking for it for years. Give it to me. Give me what I want.
The best sports talk and live sports in the Triad, period.
What's up, everybody? Live with Brandon Blake.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Score once again with Brett Wiseman.
Hello and welcome back to the Pit Stop here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Franchise Players, your home for Triad Sports coverage. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
And if you think that's great, wait until you see what's next.
It's going to be good. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
Tune in at TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. And don't forget to download the new Roku channel, Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Honey, time to go.
No matter what the weather, most of us need to get on the road every day and get going. And so we need tires that perform under any conditions. No one understands that better than the people at Mavis Discount Tire. At Mavis, we believe nothing builds more confidence while driving than having the right tires and getting them at the right price. So you can confidently handle the road ahead. Mavis Discount Tire, saving people money for over 50 years.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
There's a big government scandal going on that we need to know about it.
The government is actually...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and what an incredible show tonight we have for you. If you are a sports fan, you are in the right place at the right time, because tonight, what an incredible show. We're going to start off talking with some Charlotte FC. We're going to get into a little bit about the Major League Baseball lockout. We're going to talk some college basketball and the carousel that went on amongst the top 25 teams, or should I say the top 10 teams in college basketball. Then we're going to talk some NBA basketball and be joined tonight by the great TV voice of the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Ray. So a great show for you all. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. If all of you can please do me a favor, share this to your timeline. We got an incredible show, and we want to make sure that everybody has that opportunity to go ahead and see that show tonight. As we try, there we go. But I'm going to tell you what, it was an amazing time if you live around the Charlotte area. And right now, as some people know, we broadcast from Charlotte on and off. We'll be broadcasting from Hopkinsville, Kentucky as well. But right now we are actually going ahead and we got to see the Charlotte FC, the brand new soccer club. I'll tell you what, folks, it was exciting. They didn't win. They lost 3-0 to DC United. But to have a sports team play its first game and to go out there and give it the effort that this Charlotte FC team gave the fans of Charlotte was incredible. It was incredible. And the atmosphere, when we thought they scored that first goal, we thought Ortiz had it. And then, oh no, it was offsides, which it was offsides. So the right call was made down when, Estrada goes ahead and gets a penalty kick and scores the first goal for DC United. But when you talk about playing hard, and you talk about giving it your all, this Charlotte FC team did. And now this Saturday, I think it's the LA Galaxy, they're going to play home, and they're going to play in front of a record crowd. They are expecting, Charlotte fans, 75,000. That's right, 75,000 for this home MLS Charlotte FC game. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Charlotte FC is in Charlotte, North Carolina. And after the game, we got to talk to Christian Fultz. Frankly Speaking Sports had the opportunity to talk to him live during the press conference, and we asked him, did the momentum come out of the sales, and how did he think the team played overall, being the first game, of course, of the existence of the Charlotte FC. Let's go ahead, folks, and see what Christian had to say about that.
All right, let's go to Larry.
Hey, Christian. My question for you is that, you came out the first 30 minutes of the game, and you guys did not look like a team that was playing in its first game. You guys actually looked real comfortable, gave them fits. My question is, first, were you surprised, and how much did that goal that wasn't a goal, followed by the penalty kick that was a questionable penalty where Estrada scored, did it take the wind out of your sails, or do you think, how do you think you handled the adversity?
Yeah, there were a couple of minutes that were going crazy. Of course, we were very happy to score our first goal. Unfortunately, Titi was offside by a margin. Yeah, that's VR these days. So you gotta accept. You gotta keep going. It honestly didn't help to concede the penalty right after, and then a deflected goal. But we believe in ourselves. We know that we are a good group. We have to find each other more. But we have the qualities in our team to be a solid team, to be a competitive team. That's our main focus right now, to get to this level. You saw glimpses of our potential definitely today, but there's still so much we need to learn. So it's a big factor of being patient as well.
All right, we'll do two more here. Simon.
All right, that was Christian Fultz of the Charlotte FC. And I'll tell you what, folks, it was exciting. It was fun for all those folks that did not get the chance to go ahead and see this great, great game. You'll get to see another game this upcoming Saturday, which we will talk to more about it during the week. But let's go ahead and, everybody understands and everybody knows how, I am so upset. I am so frustrated. I am so disgusted with this Major League Lockout. It's got me sick to my stomach because we have nothing but a bunch of ignorant, stubborn, greedy owners trying to hold out to put the pressure on players to come to an agreement. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, when you watch baseball and you look at baseball, the owners have it wrong, okay? The owners don't understand it. Anybody can be an owner of a team if you have money. You don't got to be the smartest guy. You don't got to be the most intelligent guy. You don't got to be the prettiest guy. At the end of the day, if you have money, you can become an owner. Just because you're an owner doesn't mean you know a darn thing about the game of baseball and the way it should be played. And this has been exemplified more this past couple of years than I have ever seen in the game of baseball. You got owners that don't understand. They're stupid, okay? I can go up there. You can go up there. The fans of Major League Baseball and know more about the game than these owners. What these owners do not realize is this. They can leave tomorrow. The owners can leave tomorrow, and there will still be baseball. There will still be baseball. But if you take the Ohtanis, the Trouts, the Freemans, and all these stars out of the game, there will be no baseball. You cannot play the game of baseball without players. Your most important thing in this whole strike is the players. Yet you continue to utilize them as if they mean nothing. You start threatening them that you will hold out another month so you don't have to pay them, so you will put pressure on them. What happens if the fans said when they do come back and you come back, you'll start paying their salaries without any fans in the stands. Then it would hurt your pockets. You're selfish. You're just completely unethical, okay? This is a game where the fans continue to get cheated. The fans do not matter. They matter in the players' eyes. Trust me. They do not matter in the owner's eyes. Nobody. Where were you for those 2 months? We talked about this on previous. No, you procrastinated because you didn't know what the hell to do, and you have a leader in office that doesn't know what to do in Rob Manfred. So basically, that side of the spectrum doesn't know squat, and we continue to have the game suffer because we keep putting incompetent owners into positions. We continue, and continue to do so. And baseball continues to ruin their image, and it's going to be one of the least watched sports if we do not get our crap together. I'm tired of talking about this strike. I should not be talking about this. I should be coming on talking about spring training and how wonderful it is for us to have spring training back and getting ready for the season. But the owners have ruined it. The owners don't understand what it is for a father who has a son and daughter to go to the game and to have the experience of a lifetime that continues to bring up memories. No, they don't care. There are people that will miss the month of games because you go on strike that will never, ever, ever be able to go to a game with their child because something unfortunately happens to them during that month. And you're the one to blame for it. It's wrong, and it's wrong. And you need to get these things settled. You need to get it settled, and you need to do it quick. Because right now, you are destroying the game of baseball. In other baseball news, folks, let's go ahead and talk about the Miami incident real quick. When you go to the Miami incident, if you haven't heard yet today, Derek Jeter, that's right, Derek Jeter resigned as CEO of the Miami Marlins, as we try to get this up. There we go. Yes, and you know, when I look at this thing and I listen, Derek Jeter, you got to give him a lot of credit. You really have to give this guy a lot of credit because a lot of people wouldn't have done what he's done, but he made the right decision. Here's a guy that knows about baseball. We talk about here getting people in position that understand the game. You have a guy that understands the game from the ground level up. And what do? You don't want to follow the action that he wants to take to make the team successful. Instead, you got guys up there in the ownership and front office that don't know what to do to build a team. And they had that guy. They had that guy in Derek Jeter. And what they do, they let him go. That's not a winning formula. That's not a winning team. They don't want to spend money. They don't want to get players. Derek Jeter wants to win, and he wants to continue winning. I would die to have an owner like Derek Jeter by my side because he understands winning. He was with the Yankees. He was probably with, whether you like George Steinbrenner or not, he was one hell of an owner, and he knew how to win. And Derek wants to win just as badly as the boss did. This is not a mistake by Jeter stepping down. This is a mistake by the Miami Marlins organization to allow Derek Jeter to step down. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the college football carousel that is going on in the NCAA. We'll be back right after this.
13 Daggers Tattoo Studio is looking for a new tattoo artist. Must be established with a strong portfolio and good work ethic. Stop by today at 13 Daggers across from Patriot Park on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Clarksville's ultimate tattoo studio. Tattoos, touch-ups, and consultations. See the artist's work online at 13daggerstattoo.com and get the custom experience you want with killer ink. Book today and get pricked by a pro. 13 Daggers Tattoo Studio. Rockin' hard on Boulevard.
Here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we ask the tough questions.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs?
We're never afraid to tell you how we feel.
Come on, we look like the damn bad news bears.
We'll debate sports. We'll debate anything.
Man, you lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. Not the way out, but yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he did not.
No matter what, Tobacco Road Sports Radio has you covered.
I'm going to come right back at him. Soldier.
You're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Want to remind you all, if you are looking to go ahead and you are an expert tattoo artist, go ahead. 13 Daggers Tattoo in Clarksville, Tennessee at the Fort Campbell Army Post is now hiring. Oh my goodness, one of the best tattoo places in the entire U.S. is now hiring experienced tattoo artists. If interested, contact 13 Daggers Tattoo in Clarksville, Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Franklin. What a great show so far. I really hope you enjoyed it, and it's only going to get better. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you are a college basketball fan, what an incredible week we just had in college basketball, where the top 6 teams, folks, that's right, the top 6 teams lost. That's right. Listen to this over the weekend. Gonzaga, number 1, went down to St. Mary's, 67-57. Number 2, Arizona, lost to Colorado, 79-63. Number 3, Auburn, who has now lost 2 out of 3 games. Bruce Pearl, what the heck's going on there in Auburn? You lost 67-62 to Tennessee. Number 4, Purdue loses to Michigan State 68-65. Number 5, Kansas loses to Baylor 80-70. And number 6, Kentucky loses to Arkansas 75-73. Folks, you know, when you look at college basketball, people go, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Look at all these teams. No, this is great. This is great for college basketball. Let's take a look at it. You get, excuse me, these teams like St. Mary's and Davidson and Providence College who are all playing well. They now have belief that they can beat anyone in college basketball. This is great. It opens everything up. It opens up the beliefs of the Cinderella teams, and I love it, I love it, I love it. But when you guys get to March Madness, let me explain something to you folks. There are 4 teams or 5 teams that people do not realize that I would watch out for. And I'm going to give you the top 5 to watch out for when March Madness comes, okay? And, of course, they got to make March Madness, but all these teams will, of course. Number 1, I said this last week, 24-3, 12-4 in the conference, in the Big 12, Baylor. I said it last week when they were ranked number 9. Watch out for this Baylor team. They are young. They are aggressive. They have 4 teams in the Big 12 that are ranked. They have a 3-game winning streak. Adam Flagler is going crazy there, averaging 13.7 points per game. And James Alinjo has 12 points and 5.7 assists. But they are only 1 game, one game behind Kansas in the Big 12. So this is a team and I apologize, I'm losing my voice here. I got so excited in the first segment. But they are a team that can battle and get, at least I see them getting to the Sweet 16. Another team that could be a Cinderella team, and they beat the best team in the country, that is St. Mary's, 24-6, 12-3 in their Western Conference. I think they're only behind Gonzaga, if I'm correct in that thing. They're 16-0 at home. They got a good free-throw shooting team, a good throw shooting team, like I said, incredible free-throw shooting team. And I emphasize that, and you'll understand why later in the show. Mathis Tass is 12.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and Tommy Kuss has 11.4 points. Tass is 54% of the shots he's hitting from the field, while Tommy Kuss is hitting 50.3 shots from the field. So just an incredible team. Watch out for St. Mary's. The next three, one is in the ACC, baby, North Carolina. And I told people this. This team doesn't go as Amanda Bacot goes. It goes as Caleb Love goes. And Caleb Love is starting to show why he's a big-time player. Here he is, baby, 15.32 points a game, 85.6% from the three-throw line, 3.7 assists. Don't get me wrong. Bobcat's having a good year, 16.3 points. He's hitting 59% from the field with 12.5 rebounds. And then one of my favorite players on that team is Brady Manick, averaging 13.9 points a game, 5.7 rebounds. My last two teams to watch out for Arkansas. They're 23-6, 12-4 in the conference. Auburn has now lost 2 out of 3 in the SEC, so watch out. Joe Note is averaging 19.1 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. You got Jalen Williams, 10.6 points a game, but darn it, what a rebounder he is, 9.7 points per game. And everybody on this team crashes the board. The one thing I love about Arkansas is they crash the boards, and they crash the board well. They do not give other teams second chances, and they take advantage of second chances. Eric Musselman, great job there in Arkansas. And then watch out for the Friars of Providence in the Big East. 24-3, 14-2 in the conference. Nate Wilson, 14 points a game, 5 rebounds. Ali Dutcham, 13.3 points a game. And Noah Hartzler, 9.7 points, but 8.6 rebounds a game. So that's what I would say in college basketball. It's okay to see these teams losing. It opens things up. It builds excitement. The tournament's coming up, baby. And then we got March Madness coming up. And a lot of these teams, the Davidsons, if they make it, the St. Mary's, they are good basketball teams. St. Mary's, like I said, just beat Gonzaga. Watch out for these teams. This is a year where everybody thought it was Auburn at first. Then everybody thought it was Gonzaga. Both those teams have proven they could lose. They could lose, especially Auburn, who's lost 2 out of 3 games now. 1 to Tennessee, 1 to Florida. It's wide open, baby. Wide open now in college basketball. Now, what we're going to do, folks, is we got about 2 minutes. We're going to get Kevin Roy on. And then after we talk to Kevin, we're going to talk some other NBA action. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to talk about the Nets. And we're also going to talk about the Sixers as well, of course, as the Suns. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, hit on the Suns, and we'll then be live with Kevin Ray, the TV voice of the Phoenix Suns. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back right after this.
Did you know that tattooing dates back to the Stone Age? Did you know that tattoos were once a symbol of high society? Did you know that Theodore Roosevelt had a tattoo? Did you know that 13 Daggers has been serving the area for nearly a decade? Whether you want bright, vibrant colors or depth built from black and gray, let 13 Daggers create a custom piece of art just for you. Schedule your appointment and come get pricked by the pros. 13 Daggers Tattoo Studio, across from Patriot Park on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Walk-ins always welcome. 13 Daggers Tattoo Studio. Looking hard on Boulevard.
We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that's the new boy has? Mike Tyson look like a bulldog. He bad at him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson there. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something wonderful. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the triad.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but got it at him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank. And I'll tell you what, when you look at basketball, and we'll talk about the East a little bit later in the show, we'll talk about the Hornets and the demise of the Hornets. We'll talk about the Nets after we talk to Kevin Ray about are they the team, despite only being a couple games over 500, to watch in the Eastern Division now. How about the Sixers with Harden? It's incredible what's going on in the NBA right now. It's the fun time. 20 games left in the season, folks. This is when you want to follow basketball. But when you look on the Western side of things, there's been a team that has been so hot, you would think they played in Florida. The Phoenix Suns. And I'll tell you what, they got a little bit of adversity now with Chris Paul being hurt, which we'll talk about with Kevin in a little bit. But you got DeAndre Ayton averaging 16.5 points a game, 10 rebounds. And, it was good to see Devin Booker, my good buddy, scoring 25 points a game. And this is a team, guys. The reason why this team wins is the way they play offense. They got some work to do on defense. They have great games on defense. Then, unfortunately, like their last two games, they have not so good nights on defense. But they're still 49-12. How can you complain? They're first in points scored, first in field goals, seventh in free throws, seventh in three-pointers, and seventh in total rebounds. That is the Phoenix Suns, and it is my great honor. It is my great thrill to now introduce to you in the Frankly Speaking Sports 13 Dagger Tattoo Studio, coming to us live via video. Let's welcome in the voice of the Phoenix Suns. Let's welcome in Kevin Ray. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight, my man?
My man, I am doing great. We're down to the last 20 games in the NBA. As you know, the team of the first half, without a doubt, had to be the Phoenix Suns, going 49-10 in the first half of the season. Let me ask you this, Kevin. You watch this team day in and day out, or night in and night out, however you want to word that. What has surprised you most about this team in the first half of the season?
It might come as a surprise, but nothing that they have accomplished has really caught me off guard. I just think the way that this team is built with the players and personnel that they have, it's the way that they're all wired individually. And then the way that all comes together as a collective, group effort. And, I know that a lot of people coming into the season thought that there might be some kind of a finals hangover, but it's been just the opposite. They've been completely fueled and fired up as a result of being, so close to an NBA championship, having, gone up 2-0 in the finals before losing to the Bucks.
Yeah, now, this team, as I just mentioned, is first in scoring, first in field goal percentage, seventh in free throw. Talk about the consistency of this team hitting their shots?
Yeah, it goes back to really just the foundation, the philosophy, the culture, if you will, that was developed with James Jones and the hiring of Monty Williams. And both of those individuals, being on the same page and collaborating to turn this franchise around. It was one of the winningest franchises in NBA history, but there was about an 11 or 12-year gap there where they were not good at all. But they have come in and quickly rectified that. And it just comes down to, Monty Williams is a Greg Popovich disciple. He was part of that Spurs organization. He played, for the Knicks. And so you come in with that defensive mindset and, really just setting the bar right there and communicating very clearly with the players. It's like, this is a standard that we have in order for you to stay on the floor. And the players have bought in. And then, of course, you get basically an extension of Monty Williams in the form of Chris Paul, who's basically another coach. And so when you've got a voice like that in the locker room, on the plane, wherever the players are at, you're either on board or you're off the train. Pretty simple.
Talk about the loss of Chris Paul. Here's a guy averaging 49 points a game, 4 rebounds, 10.7 assists. But as you just mentioned, that stats are only part of his game. It's the leadership and what he brings to the court every night that he plays. Tell me, how is he going to be missed, and who is the guy now that is expected to step up until he returns in the playoffs?
Well, there's no denying that he will be missed because, as a 12-time All-Star, you just don't make up for that with one player. And as you pointed out, what Chris brings to the table in terms of his leadership and just his approach to the game. I've had a couple of opportunities to talk with him, and there's a reason that he is playing at such a high level at 36. For one, he takes care of his body. It was a couple of years ago when he had back-to-back seasons with some nagging injuries, changed his diet, and spends a lot of focus and attention on that. And that has allowed him to play at the high level. And then the amount of basketball that he watches, that he studies. I mean, in his 17th season, he is still truly a student of the game. And to me, there's no finer example of, if I'm a young pro, if I'm a young guard especially, and want to know how to conduct myself off the floor, on the floor, how to have a long career, I would be in that guy's hip pocket, because he is he is a walking example of how you get it done at a high level for so very long.
You hear the names Steve Nash, Kevin Johnson, Paul Westphal, Jason Kidd, Dennis Johnson, Steve Kerr. They all have one thing in common with Chris Paul. They all were point guards for the Phoenix Suns. How would you rank Chris Paul among those guys?
Yeah, if it was a college, we'd be point guard you, right? I would put Chris and Steve neck and neck. Steve was a guy, and Chris really is the same way. I mean, in so many respects, their games are a mirror of one another, because if Chris wanted to average 25 points a game, he could, just as Steve Nash could. Steve probably shot the 3 ball better statistically than Chris did. Steve was a 50, 40, 90 guy. But I would put them neck and neck just because of what Chris has done historically throughout his career on the defensive end. 9-time all defensive squad, has led the league in steals on multiple occasions. I'm disappointed for him. Obviously, the wins and playoff wins more important than anything, but I was disappointed for him that he won't get to finish out the season, because leading the league in assists, and he was right there in steals. He'll likely be overtaken, especially with James Harden now going to Philly, where it looks like he's going to be kind of a seamless transition. But yeah, I mean, we have been blessed with some amazing point guards here in Phoenix.
Steve, Steve, why did I call you Steve? Kevin, I'll be okay. Kevin, when you look at the last 2 games, not very successful games for the Suns. Obviously, 2 games don't make a whole season, but Chris Paul's been out. They lose 2 games and kind of concerning. This is what concerns me. I'd love to get your take on this. They gave up 118 points in one game, 117 in the other loss. They were out-rebounded versus the Jazz, 41-36 and 14-10 on the offensive side. They were out-rebounded by the Pelicans, 53-37, and then 16-7 on the offensive side. And the Pelicans also had 10 steals. How do they correct that issue? It's only, 2 games. They only got 12 losses, but if we're critiquing the last 2 games, what do they have to do to get that fixed and get it fixed quickly?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. First off, starting with, the absence of Chris Paul. His injury came the final game before the All-Star break. So everybody scatters. Obviously, the Suns coaching staff is in Cleveland preparing for the All-Star game. So there wasn't a lot of time allowed, for the coaching staff to really start strategizing and game planning how they wanted to attack this. Although I'm sure there was still conversation, but you don't have your players with you. Players get back the day before the break ends, or the day before the remainder of the season starts, because we're well past the halfway point. So you really only have like one practice in order to try and, see what pieces fit best where. And on top of that, you're coming off the All-Star break. So you're playing 2 games, actually 3 games in 4 nights coming out of the All-Star break, and making zero excuses because everybody's got to deal with, scheduling issues. But I just think the timing of it really kind of put them up against it. We've seen point book now for the last 3 games. I think depending on how much longer Cameron Payne will be out will determine whether we see more point book or if Monty looks to maybe slide Aaron Holiday in there. I know in speaking to him, he didn't want to overwhelm Holiday right off the bat. He'd only played 4 games for the team coming into the All-Star game, or 3 going into the All-Star game. His 4th game was actually against Oklahoma City. So he's still trying to immerse himself in the offense. The rebounding, you're spot on. The rebounding, they've had some issues, on the glass from time to time throughout the season, and it has really reared its head the last couple of games. So that is something, and I know in James Jones and talking to him, that has been an area of concern. So at this point, you are who you are, and you've got who you've got. So it's really going to just come down to guys just being more fundamentally sound, boxing out, and crashing the glass, as a team.
Talk about Devin Booker, who's averaging 25.6 points a game. Talk about the year he's having so far.
Well, again, not surprisingly, Book is just he's an old school player, and it's somewhat maddening for us as Suns fans because we know what he's been through, coming in as an 18-year-old, drafted in the first round with the Suns and dealing with some really ugly losses as a young player. But watching him score and grow, but watching people be critical of him because the team wasn't winning. And to see him now, all the work that he puts in on his game, and it's not like, or he's like a DeMar DeRozan. Neither one of these guys, get on the Sports Center highlights because they don't have the flashy plays, they don't have the, the high flying slam dunks that a Ja Morant does, and some of the other plays. They don't shoot a ton of threes, but all they are is winners and just highly efficient basketball players. And the thing that I've loved watching with Book is every offseason he comes into the next year having focused on one area of his game in addition to everything else, but one area where he wants to make marked improvement. And this year it was rebounding. So he's done a better job of rebounding. And then we've seen him in the last 2 years become a much better defender than he was his first couple of years in the league.
We're talking to Kevin Ray, TV voice of the Phoenix Suns. Kevin, roughly 20 games left in the season. What is the key for the Suns? They're going to make the playoffs. No, there's no doubt about that. But what is the key, in your opinion, for them balance of the year?
Yeah, I think, you start with health. I mean, everybody wants to remain healthy. Certainly, it was one of the the big attributes for that team last year. They didn't have a lot of injuries, and this season it has been, just the opposite. And I think it is getting Cameron Payne back healthy, reestablishing their bench, because the last couple of games, in addition to the rebounding, their bench has essentially been non-existent. That's because Cam Johnson has come off the bench and is now in a starter's role. So trying to kind of regain that balance, if you will, and find their footing on the glass and reestablishing that defensive identity that they've had. And that's not easily done because, that's a part of Chris's game that gets overlooked because of his age. But he's like the quarterback. He's like the linebacker on defense, making sure everybody's in their spots, and still at, a 17th year in the league, generating a ton of steals per game. So he can mask a lot of issues. So a little bit of a grocery list of items that they've got to check and work on. But I feel confident just based on this team's track record, especially over the last 2.5 seasons.
Couple questions we'll let you run, Kevin. What team, if any, in the West gives them the biggest challenge by ounce of year?
Well, you've got to start with Golden State. I mean, right. Golden State is right there. And if and when they are healthy, and that has not been the case for them, most all season, they remain without Draymond and Clay. You look at the Warriors just because of their championship pedigree on that team. That's got to be a concern. The team that, I think, and I said this early on, my partner, Eddie Johnson, and I both felt the same. The Memphis Grizzlies are the real deal. I think after about 30, 35 games, people were like, yeah, they're going to fade. They're a young team. No. Taylor Jenkins is a hell of a coach, and they've got some great talent, starting with Ja Morant. And that is a team that's going to create some problems for people.
When you look at the West, and I was going to mention the three teams, of course, the Suns is one of them, the Warriors and Memphis. So it's great that you mentioned those three teams. But when you look on the Eastern side of things, there doesn't seem to be a real, when I say dominant team that separates themselves from everyone else like the Suns and Warriors are doing in the West. Seems like in the Eastern division, you don't have that one team that wows you. Yes, the Sixers got Harden. Yes, the Nets could be something to be reckoned with if they can get Ben Simmons playing. It's going to be a tough team. Do you see any team in the Eastern Conference, should they make it to the finals, that can compete with the Suns?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because all season long, I've kind of watched and listened from afar because the Suns have gone for, long extended periods. I mean, in the course of their 18-game win streak, the ESPNs and Foxes of the world only wanted to talk about the problems with the Lakers and virtually everybody else in the league. It amazes me how people continually overlook the defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. They are not at the top of the Eastern Conference, but that doesn't surprise me a bit. That is a veteran team. They dealt with a lot of injuries early on in the season. I do still think that they're kind of feeling the effects of no Brook Lopez. He's kind of a glue guy, and he played a significant role for them last season and certainly in the playoffs. But if the Bucks can get everybody healthy, that is still a formidable team in the East against anybody. So I would start there, just giving them their due respect as the defending champ. And I know people continue to talk about the Nets, and Kevin Durant's probably going to come back. Looks like maybe sometime next week, but the runway is getting short. And as you said, 20 games left. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Nets have more home games than they do away games, which means you still don't have Kyrie Irving. So I just don't know what you have in the form of the Brooklyn Nets. And Philly, I'm very curious to see, how things materialize with them. Again, just having a short body of games to work on. But that's a team that's going to be right there. Will not surprise me in the least if Philly is in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Will the Lakers make the playoffs?
Boy, if you watched last night's game, you'd say absolutely not.
Right.
I would say that they will make it almost by, well, and I'll stop both of us. They'll make the play-in game. There's no guarantee that they'll make the playoffs because the play-in is not the playoffs. I think a lot of people forget that. Play-in is, it's a one-game deal. And there's no guarantee based on what we've seen from the Lakers this year that you'd feel comfortable saying, without a doubt that they'll win that play-in game. But when you look at the teams below them, I just don't see, the Sacramentos of the world. Now, New Orleans is a team keep an eye on because they beat the Suns, they beat the Lakers. C.J. McCollum gives them a different dynamic that they've not had in a long time. And that team is right on the heels of the number 9 and number 10 spot. So keep an eye on them. But if the Lakers do, I just don't see this team going very far. They just show, which kind of blows my mind with all the veterans they've got, all the all-star appearances and, all pro players, that there's just little resistance. Like when things start going wrong, as they did last night, there's just very little pushback from that team. So that tells me that there's a whole lot more issues both on the floor and behind the scenes.
All right, the last question, and I think I know your answer already, but I'm still going to ask it. Can the Phoenix Suns win the championship this year?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely can. If again, like everybody else, if they're able to stay healthy, and there's no reason to believe that Chris won't be back for the postseason, if not maybe the last game or two, I have every reason to believe and supremely confident that the Suns, having gotten all the way there last year and so close, that they can finally pull it off.
All right, Kevin, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your schedule to join us on Frankly Speaking Sports this evening.
My pleasure, my man. Take care. Good talking to you.
All right, and good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, that was Kevin Ray, TV voice of the Phoenix Suns. We'll be back right after this message.
We love sports.
Joe Lewis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that's the new boy has? Mike Tyson look like a bulldog. He bad at him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson there. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something wonderful. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Lewis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the triad.
Beat Joe Lewis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Lewis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old it was, but got it ass whipped.
13 Daggers Tattoo Studio is looking for a new tattoo artist. Must be established with a strong portfolio and good work ethic. Stop by today at 13 Daggers across from Patriot Park on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Clarksville's ultimate tattoo studio. Tattoos, touch-ups, and consultations. See the artist's work online at 13daggerstattoo.com and get the custom experience you want with killer ink. Book today and get pricked by a pro. 13 Daggers Tattoo Studio. Looking hard on Boulevard.
Yeah, there you go. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Franken. What a great interview we just had with Kevin Ray, the TV voice of the Phoenix Suns. Great information. And, one of the things I want to get into, we're going to talk about a couple of teams in the NBA, and I want to start off with the Charlotte Hornets. And, I preach all basketball season, the entire basketball season, I preach how much free throws can kill you if you don't make them. It's a free shot, and yet we still have trouble as NBA players hitting our free throws. And it cost the Charlotte Hornets last night. Last night, they lose to one of the worst teams in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons. You cannot do that. If you want to be a playoff team, these are games you have to win. And they continue to lose to teams that they should beat. Last night, like I said, losing 127-126 to the Detroit Pistons. They missed 11 free throws, folks. They went to the line 34 times, only made 23 free throws. The formula for success was correct, but you gotta make the free throws. 67% from the line yesterday doesn't help you win a ball game. And they were terrible, and I use the word terrible with a capital T, in rebounding. Okay? I cannot tell you these last 20 games. The problem with this team, folks, is a couple of things, and I'm going to hit on it. Number one, you lost 9 of 10 games before the break. Then you come back, you win a huge game versus the Toronto Raptors, where you look like an unbelievable team that played every part, every aspect of your game that night was on. You look like an NBA playoff team. Then you come back and you lose. Okay? You lose. And I'm going to tell you, James Borrego, and I know a lot of people are saying, get rid of him, get rid of him. And, you got to, kind of understand where the fans in Charlotte come from. Here's a guy that's lost 10 out of his last 12 games, and he has done nothing to correct any of the issues. And I know all the media around here will say, well, he can't shoot the basket. He can't shoot the free throws. He can't rebound. No, but he can coach this team and adjust his players' rotation to be effective in these roles, and he's not doing this. He is not adjusting to the game. It's kind of like people used to give Matt Rule of the Panthers crap because he would go in at halftime and not adjust properly. Well, the same thing is happening to James Borrego. He's not adjusting. All we're hearing is we don't have this, we don't have that. The problem is this, folks. This is a good basketball team that is not playing good. It's a good basketball team, the Charlotte Hornets, that is not playing good. And as the coach of the team, you are responsible for the outcome. That is final, whether you like it or not. James Borrego is not making those adjustments. That's number one. Number two, everybody in Charlotte, if you don't realize it now, wake up. Gordon Hayward is a major part of this team. He does so much more. It doesn't matter if he scores 30 points or scores 6 points. He is a leader. He is to the Charlotte Hornets what Chris Paul is to the Phoenix Suns. Okay, doesn't have to score a lot of points, but it's his leadership, his attitude, and his willingness to do whatever is necessary to win that becomes contagious and carries over to the other players on this team. Gordon Hayward has been missed, and they need him back, and they need him back quickly. Second of all, will you please stop boasting and building this LaMelo Ball's ego? He is not as great of a player as everybody in the NBA is saying. He is a future All-Star who made the All-Star team as a backup. He is not All-Star material yet, okay? And I'll tell you why. How many times when the game's on the line do you see him turn over the ball? He throws it away. He comes down out of control, takes a fast shot that is a terrible shot. He just kind of ruins the flow. He rushes everything that goes on. There is a lot of coaching and development that needs to be done to this young man. He has the potential to be a great player. But if you look last night, he was 6 for 24, okay, and turned over the ball 6 times. 6 for 24. When you're 6 for 24, stop shooting the ball and give it to someone that's making it. Okay, it's not all about how many points you score. It's how many games you help your team win. And LaMelo Ball will never be a great player until he realizes the game of basketball is a team game, not an individual game. That's what he needs to be coached on. That's what he needs to be trained on. And that's what he needs to be developed on. So I don't know what to tell you, folks. This is a team not playing good right now. They don't have an inside game, and they refuse to adjust James Borrego from the outside to the inside. Okay? You saw what happens when Harold starts getting passes inside. Yesterday, Borrego put in Plumlee with 6 seconds left. I don't know what he was thinking. But nevertheless, I didn't ask him either. But at the end of the day, LaMelo's not a star. Gordon Hayward is missed. And it's time for James Borrego to coach. This is what you get paid for, Borrego. This is where you got to step up, make the adjustments, maybe throw a book night in there to spark the team a little bit. Do what you have to do to help this team win. One of the things your team doesn't do, or they do it inconsistently, is they do not play great defense. You got to play defense from the opening tap to the end of the game. There's nothing else I can say about this team, but I believe it has the talent on this team to win. But this is a team right now that is underachieving in a major way. Now, there's a couple other teams I do want to talk about in the NBA before we leave tonight, folks. And the first team I want to go ahead and talk about is, and we hit a little bit on this when Kevin Ray was on, but the Brooklyn Nets. There's only 20 games left. As Kevin said, time is running out for the Brooklyn Nets. But if you look at this team, they're 32-29. Now, they lost their last 2 out of 3. They've been playing terrible defense, but they hit it. The one thing I like about this team is when they get the excuse me, folks, the opportunity to hit free throws, they hit it at an 80% clip. So they're very, very good at the free throw line. When will Durant be back? He's averaging 29.3 points a game. When will Irvin be back? Averaging 25.1. Thank goodness for Seth Curry. He's averaging 19.2 points a game since he's been there. He's been 80% at the free throw line. And LaMarcus Aldridge is having a terrific year with 13.6 points. But when they get Irving back, if it's quick, if they can get Durant back and then Ben Simmons start playing, I don't care. Get to the playoff game, Brooklyn. Because if you get everybody back and you make this the play-in game, and everybody is back, you now become a team that is very dangerous going in to the playoffs. Another team to watch out for, and Kevin hit on this one too. So Kevin was right on, both of us thinking the same way in the East, is the Philadelphia 76ers. You cannot say James Harden has not been a big factor since he's been there. First of all, the Sixers are 37-23, and this team wins because their big men hit free throws. Did you hear me, Charlotte Hornets? They hit free throws. That's right. 81% clip. They're first in the NBA. Joel Embiid was averaging, still is, 29.8 points a game, 81.5 from the free throw line, folks. As I see my face fading away there, I'm not sure what's happening there. But let's go ahead and do this a minute. Do that. All right. But free throw line. So he's averaging that. 11.1 rebounds a game, 4 assists. James Harden, since he's been here, he's averaging 28 points, 57.7%. He is averaging right now from the, as I move here, I guess something got on my camera here, folks. Okay, there we go. We cleaned it up. Harden, 28 points a game, 94.7 from the free throw line. Tobias Harris is averaging 18.3 points a game, and Tyrese Maxey, 17.2. This is not a great rebounding team, but they have a great shooting team. So this team hits a lot of their shots. They could be a little bit better in the rebounding. I think if they struggle in the playoffs, it's going to be because of some of their lack of rebounding abilities. But this is a good team. This is a good team. You can't put them on the free throw line, and you can't give them second chances because they'll nail it. Philadelphia 76ers are my other team to watch out for in the NBA East. Ladies and gentlemen, want to remind you that we will be back again tomorrow. We're going to have a representative of the Florida Panthers hockey team who is playing real well on with us tomorrow night. So we're looking forward to that show. Also, I want to remind all of you that we are on all different platforms, from Instagram to TikTok to Facebook to Northeast Streaming Sports to Tobacco Road Sports Radio to SportsWire Radio. And you can rewatch this, listen to this show in its entirety, 11 a.m. tomorrow on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. On behalf of all of us at Frankly Speaking Sports, have a good night.